Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, of course, and your favorite girl. There's no one else, okay? There's no one else. That's my ego talking, but I don't care. It is true. Broadcasting to you from Trinidad and Tobago, lovely island in the Caribbean, on Between the Lines. And it's a beautiful day today. And you know, I always start my show being grateful, thankful, whichever word works for you. But either way, I am just filled with gratitude. I love soaking in when I wake up one morning, the streaming light coming through my window and just taking in the breath and watching the birds fly and seeing the trees sway. I just absolutely love that. And I really take it all in, and I'm just saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And we all need to be grateful and thankful to be able to see and appreciate. Well, hopefully, I hope you all are appreciating another day because you did not wake up on your own, okay? You got help from somewhere, yeah, somehow. So I am really, really grateful. I'm really thankful, and I think I'm looking much more beautiful every day as the day gets. I get more beautiful. Yeah. So you need to tell yourself that too. People say, "Oh, I'm getting older." No, I'm not getting older. I don't know about you, but I'm not getting older. I'm actually getting younger. Don't try to reach me for the fountain of youth secret recipe. Just start being grateful, and you will start to see how beautiful you look. And I have a handsome man here with me, Kevin Wenning. Is that correct? Is it Wenning?
That's exactly right. Yes.
See, I got it right. See, I got it right. So Kevin, a handsome man here with me, and he is handsome too because he is grateful to be here. And he shows his gratitude, as you can see in the stuff he has behind him, which we're going to be talking about. Photography. He's a photographer, professional photographer. And he's going to tell us a bit about those photos that he has hanging up behind him and the business of photography. Yeah, because some people have certain talents, certain skills, certain love, certain passion, certain hobbies that you can turn into a very lucrative business. Yeah, and even if it's not lucrative, I mean it's the love and the passion that will attract the money to you. You just never know. So we're going to find out a bit more from Kevin about how he got into this and what sort of tips, advice he can share with you along his journey. Yeah. So let me tell you a bit about Kevin before I, introduce him, welcome him, I should say, formally. So Kevin, he is most energized by spending his time on projects that help other people to accomplish their own goals or to grow in some way. He is currently working on cycling tours for photographers and a program to print and display artworks from employees in their daily workplaces. Since 2013, he has managed software development for clients including Whole Foods, Capital One, IBM, Fox, National Geographic, and Amazon. In the years prior to software consulting, he worked for himself in new home construction, wearing all the hats that came along with that. And then he spent many years in a small company doing new program and business development, vendor relations, hiring, and launching entirely new divisions. When he left that company, he was director of photography and trainer for new sales or business development. He has seen the inside of many businesses from very small to very large. Since 2009, he has worked in various types of photography, doing studio, commercial, travel, architecture, publishing, editorial, and lifestyle stories and photos. In 2015, he began specializing in printing, exhibiting, and selling photos. And in 2017, he started leading international photography workshops. After doing client photography for 6 years and managing software development for 5 years, he now uses his range of skills for something that is personally meaningful to people, and I'm sure himself, brings them joy, and helps individuals and companies to grow. Welcome, Kevin, to Between the Lines.
Thank you very much for having me here, Corinne. Did I
Yes.
say that right? It's Corinne, right?
Yes, Corinne. My mother calls me Corinne. People, others, from the States and other parts of the world call me Corinne. I accept both. I am not resisting. I am not going to go down the argument road about that. Whichever works for your accent, your culture, I'm fine. People call me Corinna. I work with that. It all comes back to me. Once I know it's me they're talking to, I'm fine, and they don't call me anything derogatory, I'm fine. They can say my love, my darling, my sweetheart, it all works. It all equates to Corinne. So
Unique spelling and a beautiful name.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. So tell us before we go into that, you were telling me off air about those 3 photos in the back. So let's start with you telling the audience about those 3 photos, where it was taken, and a bit of story about each one of those.
Okay, sure. So these 3 photos were made, I don't know, a while ago, 2014, 2015, 2016, actually, for all 3 of those there. And that was when I was doing a lot of the travel, where I would go out and shoot photos on spec for clients and for stories, for lifestyle, for magazines, that kind of thing. So this one over here is Ecuador. That one is in Quilitoa, Ecuador, a big, a ranch up on the mountains there. And then this one I took when it was, let's see, this one was a sunny day. The other 2 were on rainy days. This was in the mountains in the rain, and I just happened to be walking around looking for something interesting. And of course, the fog had just lifted off the mountain enough to where I could actually see a bit of the landscape. So I just parked myself there and waited for that fog to lift a little bit and reveal that cool farmhouse that's back there in the trees. The one in the middle here is on the south shore of the Ivory Coast in Ghana. And it was a Sunday afternoon. I was out there to photograph a couple of castles, and everybody was down at the beach for the day apparently, which is why all of the boats were parked here in the bay. And that just made for a beautiful photo that afternoon. And then I realized where everybody was when I walked around the corner. I realized Sunday is beach day, so all of the fishermen just park their boats and leave them there for the afternoon.
Nice.
So I got an interesting photo out of that while everybody was away. And then the one over on this side here, that is Havana, Cuba. And another one of those days, it was just really rainy. We were out for a walk around Old Town Havana, and everybody was, I was with a group of other photographers. We were all kind of hiding in those doorways up and down the street that you see there, waiting for the rain to pass. And then all of a sudden the sun broke through and the rain let up a little bit, and this person just started walking down the street with her beautiful umbrella there. So I ran down to the end of the street to get her, backlit with the sun coming down the street that way, and just was a fortuitous photo. So even though it was raining and it was kind of a nasty day, and we were considering, should we go back inside? It turned out I got several good photos that day, but I really liked that one.
I'm listening to you talking, and I'm hearing a number of things coming out. Opportunity, being able to see the beauty in things and not let it pass by, waiting, patience for that perfect moment. I'm hearing a number of things. Not really caring if you're getting wet, if a tsunami is coming, you're good. You just have to get that shot. I want you to. I'm feeling that. I'm mentally visualizing that, because I know about opportunity, that moment, that perfect. It comes like when you're sitting in a cafe and everything just feels perfect. The sun streams in just at the right time, and you can feel it in your senses. You can see it in your senses. The right person walks through the door. You actually meet the right person to cash you. You smile at the right person at the right time. It is like, like Eckhart Tolle, which, work I'm doing, being present in the moment, being present, knowing the now, not worrying. At that point, you're not thinking, oh my God, I have clothes to go and wash. Oh my God, I have this to cook. You're not, yeah, right? But you're not thinking anything else, because the moment has captured you. That now, that presence has captured you. And all you're focusing is on, oh, wow, I just need to get this. Tell us, as a photographer, what is happening to you at that point? And we haven't even gone through the travel yet. We're just talking about you're in a particular place, in a particular moment. What is going through your mind? What is happening to you at that moment?
For me specifically, it's exactly what you're saying. Basically, awareness.
Yeah.
Taking in the scene that's in front of me, and then I'm really looking for individual frames within that setting. So, like the boats specifically here, I walked around that bay 3 different times looking for the right vantage to take the photo that I wanted. And within that bay that I was walking around, I took probably 50 different photos. So you're looking at the scene in front of you thinking, what's going to make the most impact? What's going to, and for me, what's going to be the most beautiful when I publish it?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a distinct difference too between photographing for clients
Mm-hmm.
and publications and photographing for yourself.
Right.
When I'm thinking I want a photo that I can print and put on the wall that I'm going to enjoy looking at, that's going to, every day when I walk into my office and sit down at my desk, I look at these pictures and think about where's the next place I'm traveling, or what are the next set of photos that I'm making. I want to, continue making something that I think is beautiful. So that's my motivation. When I look at a scene now, when I was working for clients, it's very different. The awareness still has to be there of everybody in the room, and sometimes the awareness is, depending on the type of shoot that you're doing, what does the product look like? How am I lighting it? What is everybody else in the room doing if they're prepping other products for you to shoot, or if you've got an editor that wants you to come back with a certain style of photos. So they're totally different types of photography, but the awareness still has to be there about, okay, I'm here to get these dozen shots that are on my shot list for an editor for a magazine. Now, what's going to make the most impact, and what's going to fulfill the need for that editor or for the person that I'm shooting these photos for too. So for me, the awareness is just what's going to be a beautiful photo. When I'm shooting for somebody else, I'm thinking, what do I need out of this scene to fulfill their needs? So a number of different things there.
Well, the difference I'm hearing is that, because I used to do photography as well, and I'm coming from an art background. I paint and draw, which I was saying off air to you. I'm getting back, I'm getting back into it. But I'm hearing the difference when it's for you. At that moment, you're not thinking, okay, so for example, a client, you have to meet their needs. So the
Right.
awareness is more about that checklist. Oh, I have to make sure and get this. The lighting needs to be this. The model needs to be like that. Right? For you, when you're just out there in the moment, you're not thinking of a checklist. You're just snappity snap, clickety click. You may, because something can fly by at the moment. Somebody could walk by at the moment. You're just like clickety click, clackety clack. And you just capture it, and then you can probably go through the number of shots you have taken and decide, oh, this one really resonates with me. You're not going through a checklist to say these are the requirements that were given to me by my contract, and so I have to keep that in mind. So the awareness is at a different level. It's not more of a spiritual type of thing, where it's coming from within you, your inner being, what's resonating with you, as opposed to a client, which is more robotic. It's more, I don't know.
Yes and no. There is a bit more of a checklist mentality when I'm working on a shot list or a project for a client. But at the same time, and this applies no matter what type of photography you're doing, or painting even, but I know specifically with photography, I say feel your way to a photo. When you're clicking away, the light looks good. Sometimes you're going to take 20 shots and they just don't feel right. There's something that's not perfect about them. But then there's that one that frames up just perfectly. You've got the right sharpness on the person's leading eye, and the sun's just backlit perfectly, and it just has that feeling like it pops in the camera, and you can't wait to put it on your computer and look at it and blow it up big and go, wow, yeah, that feels just like what I was after. That moment when you put the right brush stroke in the right place, and it just brings that photo alive, that picture that you're working on, and you go, yep, that was it. That's exactly what was missing. I needed that brush stroke. I needed that color. I needed, when it happens. And so it happens no matter what type of thing you're shooting. You have to feel your way to that photo, because you can't just mechanically, if you check off, I've got all of the right, technical pieces of the photo, but it's lacking that emotion, then nobody's going to care to look at it. They're going to go, okay, that's nice. Next, move on. You got to have some emotion to it.
That's right. So you were more into corporate sort of stuff before, coming up into photography. Was this something that you thought you would have ended up doing?
Not at all. In fact, I started doing photography for a company I worked for, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. And at the time, the company had all of the photography and media stuff outsourced to another vendor. And the owner of that company came to me one day. He said, "Hey, this vendor that did all of our production photography, all of our websites, photographed all our product, they went out of business. How would you
Oh,
like to buy a camera and figure out how to do all this for us?" And he
wow.
knew that I did it for fun, just kind of as a hobby. But uh, that was in that first year that I photographed products for that company was terrible. Looking back on the product, I didn't know what I was doing at all. Uh, but he gave me that opportunity, and I did that for a little while. And at the time I was traveling a little bit, but I wasn't really thinking about taking photos and practicing my photography during my travels. And it wasn't until I left that company and I was on this first trip by myself, I really thought about there's just beauty all around me. I'm walking up, up the hills here in Ecuador. Why am I not taking pictures here? And that's when I first really started thinking about, what can I come home with from this trip that's more than just a checklist. And at the time, it was just post a few pictures to Facebook. Instagram wasn't really a thing, and I don't really use Twitter that much. I wasn't thinking in terms of, oh, I've got to gather photos for my social media presence. I was just thinking in terms of there's beautiful things all around me. I should be
That's
photographing this.
That's right, capturing the moment. Because if when you go back another time, it may not be there. And that's the thing with photography. You get a still shot of something at that moment, and you don't know how long it will last. It may create some significant stories later on. They might, for example, you might go back to that same spot in Ecuador where you took that picture, and they may decide to put up buildings there or some sort of something like they normally do, and take away from the beauty. And you will be like, hey, I remember this spot. This is what was there. And you can capture, because it's so funny that we forget what was there before. If you don't take those pictures to show the before and after, we forget. We only know what is there. And then children and other generations to come would not believe that this is what was there before. They just see this massive building or whatever it may be. So it's very important to really capture the moment. So let's talk about the business side of it. I mean, you were just casually, traveling, and you're saying, why? I mean, beauty is around me, which is a significant statement to make, Kevin, because a lot of people don't notice the beauty around them. They don't even notice the beauty within them to even notice the beauty without them, meaning within and without, outside of them. They just go along their busy day, they didn't even notice that every day they're passing on that street and there is something there, a plant, a flower, whatever, a person, a chair. They're not even noticing, taking the time to slow down and just appreciate the things that are around them. They're just busy going to work, busy passing back, not even noticing somebody sits there every day and notices them and they're not noticing the person. We need to slow down and be able to take in these things. So for you to say that there's beauty and you need to take the time to capture that is very significant. So the business side of it now, how is it that you were able to translate something that you were just doing out of the love, I guess, interest, passion, to something that you're traveling the world doing it for clients? I mean, I'm sure you're making money doing this, and what a wonderful job to have, where you can where you can travel and just take photos.
Well, I'll address that, and my path is different than maybe most.
Mhm.
So when I first did start traveling and thinking about gathering photos on my travels, I did a lot of research. Watched photos or watched videos from other professional photographers. Like Great Escape Publishing is a company that I've done some podcast recording for, and they do these workshops where they're teaching people to monetize their travels through their photos and through their writing,
Mhm.
and they're an excellent company for that. So that's kind of what I did when I first got started. I looked for how can I take this skill that I have and
Mhm.
make money off of it, as well as travel, because that satisfied all my needs at the time.
Mhm.
And I did that, I would say, briefly.
Mhm.
About a year and a half, 2 years, I really started to go out and shoot on spec, where I would write a proposal for a company and then go out and gather photos to fulfill that proposal. And I realized quickly it was taking me right back to shooting that product in the studio that I did for that small company. It was, check off this list, get these photos in, your job is done, here's your paycheck, which
Yeah.
served a purpose, but for me, it wasn't what I wanted. I realized quickly that if I go down this road, I'm not going to be happy with it for very long. And so I quickly turned away from that, and then that's how I came to what I'm doing now, which is the travel with with the cycling tours, as well as the photography workshops. I've got a Lightroom workshop I do at the end of the tours, working on some things in northern Colorado where I live, to do some beginning photography workshops with people, because that's where I want to take my skills, is help other people to build up their understanding of how to take a great photo, and not something that's, I call it literal photography. When I'm taking a photo for Instagram, it's I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm at this place, and that's it. That's all you're thinking. You want to show your friends, I've been to this place, aren't I cool? Okay. That serves a social purpose. That's literal photography. That's look at me, rather than taking that to the next level and going, okay, there's something more going on here than just I'm in this place. And I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I've got a quick little story for you, kind of why I practice photography the way I do. Years and years ago, as in my early 20s, years and years ago. Make me sound
right? I was just about to say that. What are you, like 80? You look great for 80.
Going on 40 next year. So.
So what do you mean years and years and years ago?
Years ago, yeah, when I was so young.
Right.
It was in my mid-20s, I guess. I did some acting, and we had a director come into Denver from New York. He was a big Broadway director, and he had us do all of these exercises. And one seemed stupid at the time, but it really stuck with me. So he would give us these little scripts, and he would, all of the actors that were practicing during our rehearsals, he would give us very specific directions, like, I want you to develop this emotion through this script that we're working on. So we would practice that for 15 minutes, and then we would all sit on the stage and talk about it. And he said, what were the exact things that you did in order to create that feeling? I saw you guys were interacting over here, and there was some intense emotion going on. You guys were having a really deep discussion over what it is that you were working on. What exactly were you doing? Like, where were you standing in relation to each other? What were you thinking at the moment? And it's this philosophy that in order to recreate that, you have to pay attention to all of those little details. Like you were saying, the awareness of when you're sitting in the coffee shop, when the light starts shining through the window, or you were describing when we first started this morning, how the wind is blowing through the trees there, and just creating this feeling like you're so grateful to be there and be alive. And that's, you're just paying attention to your environment. And so anyway, through this activity that he was having us do, that really struck me. Like that's what sort of, for me, creates the emotion and the passion when I'm taking a photo. Like this scene here in Havana, every time I look at it, I remember that feeling that I had of, I can smell the rain, I can see the sun shining down the street, I can feel the people starting to spill back out onto the street because the rain is over and they can go back on, back along their day. So I wanted to try and pull that out of the photos when I'm making a photo, rather than just mechanically, okay, I checked this off and I served a purpose and I've gotten paid. I'm kind of wandering my way through this answer here.
No, but that's fine. That's fine. Just to touch on that picture with Havana, it keeps drawing my attention, and as I look at you in the video, it keeps pulling me into, and that is what that painting does. It has depth. What do we call perspective is what we call that, where everything goes into that kind of V. What do you call that? It's depth. It creates depth. This tree tends to do that, and then the lighting is so perfect. There's nothing that can beat natural lighting. Just touching at the right moment, and I'm looking at it, and I can see myself painting that. The right people in the street wearing the right clothes. You can't force that. It's actually naturally animated. The lighting on the right side of the buildings as opposed to the left, the contrast, the colors, everything, the road being wet, the reflection of the light on the road, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And I mean, it evokes, you were talking about the smell of the rain, it evokes the feeling, which is what, you get lost. Sometimes when you go to these art shows, you get lost. You're sitting down there, people are like, what are they doing? You're
You have that far off look in your eyes.
yeah, you're like, whoa. And it takes you in some deep places that um
And
probably
to me, that's what a good photo or a good painting should do. It
yeah.
doesn't have that temporary quality that most social media posts have, where it's a throwaway photo. A good painting, a good photo will make people want to sit there and look at it and say, I can see myself in that place. I can feel something from this image.
Yeah. You go so deep, you can't imagine. You're just sitting there and you go so deep, back to childhood, back to wherever. It brings back a memory, whether good or bad, and you're just like lost. You're just lost in it. And it's amazing when you go to these, and it's been a while I have been to an art show, but it's pretty quiet, probably even quieter than a library, where you just, and you don't need a librarian to tell you keep quiet. You just and you just sit there and you just or walk around, just taking in everything. And there must be one that will be like, yes, this is it, and I want this in my house. I want this, around me all the time. No, I'm talking to you. Go ahead.
Can I walk back that what you were asking me as far as the business of photography and
Sure.
And making money from it? I got off on talking about photos because I love going down that path every time I talk about photography. But the business of the photography, and most people will start with the low-hanging fruit, right? They'll look up a YouTube video or do some Google searches and then start off with what other people say worked for them. And I do recommend, it's kind of the same as photography, like start with where other people have found success, but then pay attention to yourself and what you need out of it as well, rather than just following the step-by-step directions somebody else gave you. Like when you make a photo, a lot of times you go out and you take a picture that looks like somebody else's picture because you want to learn how to make a certain starry night sky photo. So you're going to follow exactly the recipe that they say they did, which is a lot the same in photography. People pick up a camera and start shooting portraits or start shooting weddings or events that are close to them because they just want to start making some money from their photography. And there's nothing at all wrong with that. Plenty of people make a living doing that. For me, that was something that I decided is not for me. But it is really something. It is a skill. Photography and all of these other businesses that I've been a part of over my lifetime have taught me that, if anything, there's no one way to do anything. You can take this set of skills and then match it up with what does somebody need from this, and in the intersection there is commerce. That's how you make money. So excuse me, do I just have to take a photo, sell it to somebody, and that's how I make money with this? No. I mean, that's one way. But for me, like running the cycling tours and then taking it to the next level and doing it for photographers, the reason I came up with that was because I like to travel on my bike when I go travel to places, and I like to practice photography. But there wasn't anything for me to go out and pay somebody to tape me on that kind of a trip. So I'm the kind of person that goes, okay, it doesn't exist. Why not? Oh, well, because I haven't made it yet, obviously. So that to me was kind of the first, and this year is the first year that I'm launching that. We're going to Morocco actually in 3 weeks. Nice. We depart for that. I'm working on one next year for Italy, and then Portugal following that, and then New Zealand. So I've got a few in the works.
Nice.
So rather than force myself to go down this path that other photographers say, well, just do this, you can make a living doing this. I decided I'm going to take those skills, and I believe there are enough other people that have this passion as well for the same thing. And employee art program is a whole other thing that I wanted to talk about just briefly, but yeah, that's my take on basically profitability with photography or with any kind of freelance skill. Really just kind of start where other people have found success, but then figure out where it needs to go for you to make you personally excited about it. Because if you do it for 2 or 3 or 4 years and you realize it's just paying the bills, but there's really no other reason you're doing it, then it's just like any other job that you're a slave to.
Yeah, I'm thinking, you're doing cycling. You have carved out a niche for yourself. There are persons who may do extreme sports. So for example, jumping off of a cliff, the people who are jumping out of a plane, bungee jumping, all those different kind of extreme sort of things, and capturing, the facial, whatever, the moment, whatever it may be. There are people who do that type of photography. So that's above air. And then you have underwater, people who go underwater and capture all the different beautiful photos. Obviously, I'm not going to do the one underwater, but it have people who will do the ones underwater and capture those moments. And you're like, wow, when you watch those photos, you're like, wow, or videos, photos, whichever it may be. So it's really just carving out a specialization, an area for yourself that you can also be different, unique. And I'm thinking, you're into cycling. These guys are riding their bikes constantly. How in heaven's name are you going to be capturing in movement, in motion? That is a serious skill to capture this thing in motion. Really, it's I don't know. Tell us.
So the cycling portion of the tour is actually just to go and ride from one destination to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have anything to do with photography. This is for people who want an active vacation. They want to get on their bike when they're in a new country. Mm-hmm. And if you're a cyclist, you just know it's kind of like photography. Like, you do it because you have a passion for it. It's how you love to interact with the world. Same goes for cycling. I want to get on my bike because I can feel the road. I can smell the place. I remember it more vividly when I come home because I interacted with that on my own terms. I own that country because I interacted with it. I didn't sit in a tour bus and watch it pass on a screen next to me through a window. I actually experienced it. So, okay. So that's what the cycling bit is about. And then at the beginning and end of the day is when we actually do the photography part. So we're in a location. We go out and do a morning photo walk for 3-4 hours before we get on the bikes, and then on the bikes we ride to our next destination for the day. Rather than taking a tour bus or getting in a vehicle, we ride our bikes to the next destination, and then we photograph in the evening. So we use the morning and evening light when it's best for photos anyway. That's when we practice our photography. In the middle of the day, to get to our next location, that's when we do the cycling.
Okay, I thought you meant, like guys on a cycling tour, when they do those, what do they call them? I can't remember.
They're tours, Grand Fondos, Grand Fondos, crits. They go by all different names, and that's frankly that's kind of photography 101 though. If you can't, but that is actually part of our tours. We take one day on every tour and pick a location where we're all going to take photos of each other on our bikes, because you don't want to go to Morocco on a cycling vacation and not come home with a picture of yourself riding in Morocco.
Obviously, what's the point? Go back. You'll have to go back. But are you the type of guy when you're out with friends and people have their selfie sticks, which is a big thing now, and you're like, no, this has to be right. This has to be right. No, you can't take a selfie like that. No, are you the one that spoils the whole moment of the selfie?
No, absolutely not. Photography serves many different purposes. And this is a whole other rant I could go on. I call it visual literacy. You relate to the world in a visual way. You get so much more, like looking at this photo here. There is so much more communicated to you about that place and about the people who live there and what is it like than if I sat here and talked to you about Elmina, Ghana for 15 minutes. You look at that picture and you immediately just have a story in your head, right? So visual literacy is useful whether you're making an artistic image or you're making a literal image. Mm-hmm. So selfies serve a purpose. They are communicating information. You are communicating via that medium. So it is still valuable. I'm not the snob who wants to stop the bike tour and say, let's do a professional photo shoot right now.
Right. Yeah, you have some people like that. No, the lighting isn't perfect. Shift. No, your tie is twisted. No, hold on. There's a speck of hair hanging right there. Hold on.
Yeah. No, you can enjoy. Yeah, I can enjoy that moment without, breaking it down and making everything into a photo shoot.
That's right. Breaking it down and making it into a photo shoot. No, take off that shirt. No, that doesn't match. The color is wrong. No. There are some people like that. But this is awesome. This is awesome, Kevin. So what's coming up for you? What's the plan besides the cycling tour? What else is on the horizon? That's a nice word to use. Horizon.
I like that. Yes. The horizon, the near-term horizon. Next year, I'm actually looking for a couple of beta companies to do this with me. I call it Employee Art Program. And it's basically taking photos and paintings, any kind of flat artwork, anything we can hang on a wall, and displaying that in the offices where people work.
Nice.
Part of my consulting these last 6-7 years that I've been doing, I go into these big companies, and almost inevitably, their walls just have nothing on them. They've got some professional artwork in the lobby that's done, that they paid way too much money for. They paid $50,000 to hang this painting in the lobby. Awesome. That artist is doing well. Nothing at all wrong with that. I love that. But what about everybody that works there that went on a vacation and they took some amazing photos and they're just sitting on their hard drive at home?
That's
So
right.
the idea is to help those people get them printed, put them on the wall so they can enjoy them at their workplace every day. And then at the end of a year's period, 9 months or 12 months, they will either just give those to the employees to take home and enjoy in their home, or do an exhibition where all of those artists in the company that contributed to the art program, paid for by the company, meaning that the artists don't pay to have the artworks printed themselves, the company covers that cost, but then do a public exhibition of those artworks. And there are some various programs around the country that are loosely structured around this type of idea, but I haven't found anybody that actually puts together the programs and does it. So this is another one of those moments for myself when I'm walking through the offices of one of these big companies that I was working for, just realizing there are hundreds of people in this building and the walls are just completely blank. And what is going on here? And that was another one of these moments to, like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, because I haven't created it. So now I need to go make a program for that.
Yeah, and it comes back to awareness for people to walk into a building and notice that the walls are blank. That is awareness and being conscious, because everybody else is walking through and not saying anything. And they don't see, I don't want to use the word a problem, because there may be people that may not have a problem with it. They don't want it blank. Or they may prefer some sort of other artwork. They want it blank. Or they may feel their voice may not be heard. So then why say something about it in the first place? So it's a number of things.
They need an outside voice to come to their managers, their owners of the business, and say, hey, have you thought about this? Because it will be received differently from an outside voice, in my opinion anyway.
And the thing about it is that when you set up your office space and an environment, you're working there for most of the day. You want to create a sort of environment which has love, that has peace, that has, it makes the employees feel good to work there. It makes your customers feel good to come in there. You may find just by doing that, people are attracted coming into your business because of the environment you create. And others will be like, what the hell, your competitors? What the hell are they doing over there? Not realizing it's the paintings or it's the photos. They'll be like, no way, it cannot be that. And they might just have something else hanging up there. They may think, wait, they brought in a consultant. No, they have done something to their strategy. They have whatever. And it could simply be a subtle thing as just creating a space where everyone feels happy being there. There are stories that can be told. Your customers can come in and be attracted to that. Yeah.
And it's the interaction between the employees themselves.
Yeah.
You may walk down the hall and see a photo hanging up from somebody who you've never met that works in your same business. Yeah. But just because you saw that photo, you're going to go look them up and say, hey, tell me more about this picture that you took, or about this painting that you made, or because it will start generating conversations between people who never knew about each other, even though they work down the hall from each other.
So many benefits. There's so many benefits. And getting to know their skill, their talent. There's much more to it. Being involved in other people's lives, which we tend not to be doing these days. Everybody's just so robotic. They're on their phones doing everything else, as opposed to having that human interaction. You remember those words, people? Interaction, not phone and WhatsApping and texting and SMSing. Okay, human interaction. We need to bring that back. Having a conversation. Remember that word? A conversation, like what me and Kevin doing? A conversation. Kevin, you have a website, do you? Remind me about it. Let me feature your website.
Yes, the main place that people can find me is called intentionallylost.com.
I don't think you're intentionally lost. What is
That's
wrong with
the intentionally lost is an attitude and a way that I like to experience a new place, because you get off and you're on a guided tour, you're going to miss all of the cool things about that place. So intentionally lost just means finding a way to get lost, because you discover more about other people, about the place that you didn't know was there.
Exactly.
If you just
Getting
go on a
lost is
guided
good.
tour all over.
Yeah, getting lost is good. Some people get upset when they're lost. I look at it as, hey, we discovered somewhere new. Let's see what happens here. So
And
tell us
it's
about your
yeah,
website.
on this website, this is all about needs some work, as most independent websites do when they're maintained by somebody like me instead of I don't have a development team for my website.
It
So
looks beautiful.
uh,
Stop making excuses. Go ahead.
so I post my photos up there, as well as anything, of course, about the cycling tours.
Mhm.
On the front page here, you've got just some of the most recent photos. Looks like I haven't actually posted anything in quite a while up there. And then I promote whatever the upcoming bike tour is there. And then at the bottom there, you've got mostly blog posts. Like when this is done and you tell me that it's live, I'll put a post on my website and put it up on my up on this front page here, so everybody can go find this episode there, as well as of course on your pages, and I'll direct people back to you as well. So that's other photographers I've traveled with, or people I've done photographers or cyclists as well. So that's the community around the cycling and photography tours on that website there.
Okay.
And then employeeartprogram.com is, I would say it's in beta right now. I don't have a page for people to go really see what that's about, but that's my second website. So intentionallylost.com for the cycling and photography, and then employeeartprogram.com. Pretty simple.
Employee art program. Let me see that. Hold on.
So right now when you go to that page, it's not going to really tell you a whole lot about the program. That's going to show you the home page where each company that is running the program will have access to their employees, a closed community where those employees will interact with each other, as well as with guest artists that I bring into the community to talk about anything and everything related to visual literacy, which is basically just a fancy way of saying practicing your art.
Fine. Wonderful. So
And if
email
you
us
click on that,
yeah.
if you click on that green link there, check out the program information. Anybody can contact me through there to ask about the program.
Hold on. Let me get back. Oh, this one.
If you click on check out the program overview, that'll take you to a page that walks you through what is it about.
Okay, great. Nice.
And so that'll give people the overview of what Employee Art Program is. And like I said, I'm looking for a couple of partners to do a beta program with, meaning the only fees that they pay would be for the artwork that we actually print. I'm not charging them my own fee to run the program for them, because I need a couple of companies to work with me to just prove out the concept and work out any kinks in it before I roll it out as a commercial product.
This has to be a face-to-face kind of live workshop. Can you do this online?
Yep.
Yes.
So that's part of the benefit of what I've been doing the last several years is working with large companies, as well as all of my software developers who are all completely remote. We're using Zoom for this call. I'm on Zoom 20 times a day talking to all of my clients and my employees who I work with. We've got Slack for messaging. We've got this private community that I've set up. There are all sorts of tools that are becoming more and more powerful to connect people no matter where in the world you are. So that's a huge part of it. But then the idea of at the end of the Employee Art Program, we're actually hanging and displaying the works in the office. Then I will go to their office in person, meet those people, shake this with me, and then hang those photos in their offices myself. So yes, I definitely want to have that interaction with those clients I work with for sure. But as far as actually running the program, we can do that all remotely, completely over the internet.
Beautiful. And persons can contact you at the contact us page here. Trying to bring that up.
So
And of course, they
the
can
simple
email here.
way to contact me is just kevin@intentionallylost.com. I'm a real person. I answer my own email, and I will email you back.
I'm a real person. I like that. I'm a real person. No robots, no voice. What do you call that thing? Voice animated, whatever. A real
No recordings.
Yes, a real person. So you can, hit him up by, putting your name, an email address, and of course saying what it is that you're looking for, and of course follow him. Yeah, he has all his you're on Instagram now. You're on Facebook.
I primarily post on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook.com/intentionallylost is where I share most of the upcoming news about where the bike tours are, about the Lightroom workshops, any of the, like we're doing a photo walk in Marrakesh on the final day of our tour, free to anybody that happens to be in Marrakesh on October 12th. Come out and do a photo walk with us. So all of those kind of regular ongoing events are on the Facebook page.
Okay, beautiful. So we're back. So wonderful. That's great. So you're going to be busy besides talking on Zoom 20 times a day, but you're going to be busy. I would love to see your work. So I'm going to be following you. I'm going to check you. I'm not really an Instagram person, but on Facebook, of course, we should be connected. So I'm going to be checking you out. And I mean, stay in touch. I would love for you to stay in touch. I want to see all the places you go, what you're capturing. You just never know. I might say, hey, Kevin, I need to get that picture to be able to paint. What was that?
I would love that. That sounds like a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I would love that.
I consider my photos to be a commodity, meaning if you want one of my photos for any kind of artistic purpose, yes, have it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell my images. I'm not hoarding my images. They should be shared. That's what they're for.
That's what they're for. It's not to keep it to your chest. You can't hold on to beauty. You can't keep beauty. You need to share the damn thing. Come on, Kevin.
So that's my whole concept, is just the photography is a skill to build other businesses around. I'm not trying to sell my photos or make money taking pictures for people.
Yeah.
I'll make my money through these programs where I help other people get motivated to go out and take pictures or paint or whatever their art is.
We're going to start with those three in the back of you, especially the one in Cuba and that boat. I just love those. You need to share those with me if you can. I really
Absolutely.
Yes, please put a note. Yes, please put a note. Share those with me. I love it, and I want to get started on those. Yes, he's right.
And I've got your email. I'll get those over to you as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, thanks. Yay! I love you, Kevin. Thank you. You have me super excited. So we have to start following each other so that when I do my paintings, I can send them to you. I can share them, whatever, or tell you, hey, I have a show. This is what is going on. And of course, give you credit. And I can say, hey, it's Kevin who's doing this and whatever in Trinidad and Tobago. Can you imagine that? So your name is reaching far and wide.
I haven't made it to those islands yet. I'll have to plan a trip.
That's right. Because when I call your name and I'm doing my show, you need to be present to be able to answer questions that I cannot answer. And tell the story behind it and how we met and how I had you on my show and then this happened. See how life works? Oh my God. The universe.
It happens because you talk to people in person.
That's right.
I do miss having conversations with people. Online interaction isn't all that great.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kevin. I mean, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I always say I'm doing 30 minutes on my show, and I never do 30 minutes. I need to stop that. So, but this has been a pleasure, and it really makes me feel good, with what you're doing, and the impact that you're having, and the greater impact you're going to be having not only on people's lives within the workplace, but even going out to families. You just never know the ripple effect of what you're doing. Like you throw that little pebble in the water and it just has that ripple effect. And that's what you're doing. I thank you so much.
Thank you for the conversation, Corinna. We could talk much longer. I've really enjoyed it.
Yes, I enjoy it too. You have a great day and all the best on your cycling tours.
Thank you very much.